I'll sit on that. I'm sorry. I started right at 10. So you got 30 minutes. She still doesn't ring the bell. I like going.
In this video, I'll show you how to set up and manage
We're offline recording.
Good morning. I'm Kimberly Cyprick, and this is Common Ground, our celebration of worship for people to share in the responsible search for meaning and truth. We're all who come with open minds, regardless of ability, age, race, identity, or sexual orientation. Safe place to worship. You'll have an opportunity to greet everyone during our coffee hour. For a moment of silence, followed by our Please pause for a moment of silence. Now we're during song.
this hymn, the Black.
I was supposed to. I'm going to do it now. Lift every voice and sing national anthem, which was a poem by the ACP leader who lived 1871 to 19. To music by his brother, John Rosamond Johnson, in 1890. Performed in public in the Johnson's hometown of Jacksonville, Florida. Birthday on February 12, 1900, by a congregated Stanton School, where James, in honor of Martin Luther King Day, which will be celebrated tomorrow, the Come As You Are to sing that song. This is the fire of. Please join me in these words by Rebecca Savage, Riddlesperger, today's speaker, for Chalice Flame. This, as a beloved people, united, thirsting, the tethers that uphold whiteness in our May it spark in us humility, medical love that forms our energy. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our signal to listen deeply, reflect boldly toward our highest ideal. I invite you to join me in a renewal of our sacred promise. Love is the doctrine of this church, and service is its prayer. To seek knowledge and freedom, and that all souls shall grow. Do we covenant with each other? Please walls to make it easier for people still arriving to find seats. Upstairs in the large screen TV. You can sit down. These children, by finding and feeling the integrity, it's working for justice as a group. They will listen to a story of others. The youth will watch from a wide range of topics, such as take a stand and when to let a TED Talk by Ash Becker. At this time, children education them out with these words. We a religious to generation. Our call to worship the heart of our Tennyson. What is it that calls you on, that leads you home? What is it that gives you the power to ask that question? What is it that says, that asks more, that brings, that holds you up in hard, beating heart of our faith? It's when we share this hour, this air, our hearts. Let us worship together. Please stand, Spirit, as you are a choir in our worship. Touch the earth, reach. Dr. James Riddlesperger, Jr., is professor at Texas University, a native of Denton, Texas, since 92. His emphasis in the presidency, Congress, he is a prolific author and editor of Texas Politics, 14th edition to be published this year, and the Boston Connection. Rayburn, Considering American, The Right Stuff, Special Focus, Balance of Power, and Presidential Leadership and Civil Rights Policy. In the Journal of Politics, Social Science Quarterly, Judicature, did I say that right? Legislative Press Studies Quarterly, others, as well as numerous chapters in edited books. He was the winner of the TCU Chancellor's Award 2017 and Honors Professor of the Year. He is a frequent consultant to news media about politics and elections. College Board's AP U.S. Government and Politics exam. Southwestern Political Science Association, 2011. Dr. Christina Riddlesperger is the grandfather to 3 wonderful granddaughters. And now, our Common Ground speaker.
Way of bragging, don't it's that's the short version. Okay. I'm excited to be here today, being in company of interested in ideas and interested in thoughts and thinking about who and what we're about. The spirit of what I want to talk about. We live in a time where no one wants to talk about politics except with, in which they whine about the other side. A joke, which is that 100% thing, and that is that 50% of Americans, and it leads to that we all are familiar with, the deep polarization that, frankly, is just talked about, isn't it? About acceptance, about being part of all of those kinds of things that we value so much. Politics to work against these days. Scientists, because guess what? This is what I do for a day job. So I thought I would think with you a little bit. And when they asked me what our title was today, I had no clue what I was going to do. Yeah, I hedged on it. And I gave you a quote from Charles. Not someone necessarily to be admired. He is probably that was from the mid-'60s on. He's legendary. And by the way, of course. The stuff. And he was really. Someone said that he was the classic driving lobbyist, right? Kind of love to hate about politics were embodied of Charles Walker. Why was he so good at what he did? How was people as varied as greatly for whom he worked? How did that work? And he said, well, there are 3 a good lobbyist in Washington. The first is credibility, and the third is credibility. Person of your word to say and follow through on what you promise to do. You may be successful once. You might be the kind of person who made this comment that fool me once, shame on. Gonna fool me again. You remember that? He fooled once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. He says you can't live in that kind of world. You have to be in a world where it's so. And so what a lot of perspective, what they're selling is credibility. Have that involved in it, then we the way that we proceed as a nation. So I I talk about all the time. You know, we are in the first generation. Kind of convince my students that the U.S. Constitution, as you all are my age, and the Constitution was inviolate. The Constitution that we lived by, that it was what. And the millennial students do not feel that way about the Constitution. And they've never lived in an America where the Constitution. It's always been their life. And therefore, have given the Constitution something that is a commonality. And so I thought I would ponder with you for just a few minutes the things that are transient, the things that are time-bound, that are immutable, that are permanent, the things that actually work. For us to do that is because I don't think we can do that. And the Electoral College never worked the way it was supposed to. 1800, it had been. The amendment was added to the Constitution to change the electoral. Intended to work. In fact, the author of the Electoral College wrote it. It was nothing more than a constitutional convention to get on to the next topic. Somehow that the framers thought that the electoral is going to work forever is just silly. Neither anticipated the development during the ratification fight for the Constitution. Never had this notion that anyone would actually run for president. Then was that anyone who would declare themselves thereby disqualified. Kind of ambition. Street. I mean, it would have been just unthinkable to be bestowed upon the most deserving person in society. College by definition doesn't work in a situation that the Electoral College has flaws. One piece I would say the Constitution is no particularly relevant is the president conducts war. We haven't declared war. The very last one, you mentioned Sam Rayburn, he signed declarations of war by Congress. One against Japan and the other against Germany. War since then, but we've been in several wars, a number of wars. In fact, on basis, all of them presidentially made war. Formula, why? Well, because states. The Constitution United States against Britain, or the United States against Germany. Now we fight communism, or we fight terrorism. And it's really difficult. In fact, our leaders today, President Trump particularly, we're not fighting against Iraq. We're not fighting. I love the Afghan and terrorism, they'll say. And the problem is that terrorists don't wear. I love World War II movies, don't you all? You know the bad guys. Okay? But we have wars like that anymore. We really know who our enemies are, and we don't know when they're defeated. Wars. And so, the formula for war and peace just simply doesn't work. Not that it would in the 18th. The framers thought of politics as an activity of the. They were fearful of tyrants and demagogues, people who made populist arguments to the worst instincts of the people feared the most, and that would not have the potential for the United States, or a tyrant as the president. This was a huge issue. It's nice. That's the reason people talk about the 55 men, educated, all white, who wrote our Constitution. Set of values. Those are all problems. And then, of course, the biggest states, the 3/5 compromise, are going to that the slave trade is so awful. We're going to make sure that it ends in. Was a decision made at the convention. These things, if we don't own them, we stand. We have to be willing to kind of embrace this notion that the Constitution has great flaws. A document with simply do not relate to the way that we work. But having said that, I will. Now, remember, some of you probably remember a woman who said, I was doubly status at writing the Constitution as a woman, and she said, faith in the Constitution is whole, complete. Why? Why? The answer is there are some perennial things in the Constitution that I think what is timeless. One is in order to powers, we set up a system where there are 3 branches of government, and in fact, prime president. There is nothing unusual going on in the United States. Set up in the Constitution. The different constituencies, they have different natures, and they conflict under the various of circumstances. The relationship. David Mayhew is probably half of the 20th century, and David Mayhew says, it is boisterous, it's vulgar, but and that's what makes it The Constitution sets up this perennial of government to keep one branch from getting too big. It sets in discourse and negotiation. About people who disagree profoundly sitting down about how to proceed together. I don't know. You all, yes, I do. You with the ones that agree with you, right? And think less of our family. It drives. We may not want to talk very often. There transcends. And the truth is that the Constitution envisions for us all. As John McCain used to say, so much more that unites us than that we need to get past this notion of a Democrat or a Republican, because at the end of the day, that makes the most difference to me, he said. That we're sharing the same space, we're living in the same world. Things again that you all just talked about here. By dealing with people with whom we disagree. Third thing about the Constitution is it thinks big. Make my students think about the preamble of the Constitution. We don't talk about what it is. Dramatic. In order to form a more perfect union. Justice. That's not a... Peace. Provide for... Promote the general welfare, the welfare of... And secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves. These were not small thinking. They were elite. Yes, they were all white males. But they did not think small. Remember that Paine in his famous Common Sense are to begin the new, he said. And that's what I think we the Constitution. Finally, the Constitution is intended to change. The words do not. It is full. Favorite hedge word, and I'll just give you one example. My poor presidency people, a half the other day. You're just going to get one example, okay? The Constitution says that the president is to, quote, that the laws be executed. I love those words. Students, have you ever been a babysitter? Then you know what the word take care in the Constitution. And simply abide by the letter is going on. The parents leave and you have this baby to take care of that. Sometimes it's not in the 15 pages of left. It means you have to call them and say, "Oh, baby's crying. What do you do?" Right? And that's what take care. This is a word that I love talking about in church. What in the world does that mean? Faithfully. Does it mean? No. As a matter of the greatest American president, Abraham Lincoln, what is his motive? That sometimes in order to preserve the Constitution, break the Constitution. Well, in the sense, in the context of in Maryland, it makes some sense. In terms of life, I challenge you to go to a philosophy class and thinking, because it's not. Okay? Edge language. And Thomas Jefferson, of course, is not a constitutional, I don't think really understood the Constitution. It's a great 20 years or so, we need to have, didn't necessarily, although he did talk about blood, generation to be able to define its pact, the American, and that's going to change, be able to adapt to that. So the framers did give us, but there are kinds of things that require a little bit of understanding in order to apply. Though, honesty, it's reliant, it's relying in their representations, and follow. If you do not have kinds of people who represent to you that we have a deal that makes me comfortable, perhaps, but it's, and we're going to follow through on that. If we have that, make an agreement with someone and then tomorrow, then you have no credibility. And one of the great of American democracy, I worked for 20 years, former Speaker of Fort Worth, and he was a brilliant man. Of course, about him. Written a book about him. But the key is that he said one of the is an idea of democracy is this. That's right. A conference after a bill is different forms in the two chambers. They bring members of the two chambers to file the difference in the bill. The things he learned in Congress. If he ever left a conference committee and the other was unhappy, he knew he had a bad. Democracy is the only way both sides leave unhappy. They have given up on something that was very important to them, accomplish something bigger in life. If you are married, you understand this context. It's what takes out. Right. So this is the works. Problematic in the United States. Of the polarization we see in the United States now, and I'm not going to have of policy. It says American is apple pie. The agreement is good. It's what. Okay, if I agree with anybody on more than thinking. Okay, drives us right. We have disagreements. Is that we have casting. So we have a Fox News constituency and an MSNBC. Fox News, of course, being a much an MSNBC. But has that in order to, we no longer are reliant on truth to create a narrative, and we will does not conform to our narrative. And when you have narrow casting to just people agree with whom you agree, have that kind of potential. This, you all have friends, and if they disagree, you just unfriend. I do myself from time to time. Right? And then we live in a where we're only talking, and we problem. Slave to narrative. And when truth is narrative is our enemy. American parties today are in a real quandary between pure and pragmatism. When we have the liberal saying you have to be pure to Republicans even have a word for it, right? Rhinos, Republican in name. Don't slavishly adhere to one ideology. The problem is that the Constitution requires pragmatism. It requires the ability to work with people, most with people with whom you have. The Constitution does not work. All of this depends on personal integrity. Willingness to speak means that the most important organ in our head is not ears, and we need to others. I read a column this morning by Sully Sullenberger. You remember Sully Sullenberger? Captain of the airplane that landed in the Hudson River to bring this Texas stuff in from time to time. He was particularly taking on statements by about Joe Biden. You can't say anything. Well, he's been a lifelong stutterer. Thomas Jefferson, by the way. And Sullenberger said, I did okay. This little column is a speech than a character defect. And what we have as these days, we have people unwilling to be honest that are leading us. I'm a fan of Thomas Jefferson for all of his work, and he has many right about that, and he says, I knew Lyndon Johnson. Of them, great men with. I don't need to read today. We all understand. But Thomas Jefferson's honesty, he said, in the Book of Wisdom. May we lives of wisdom. Thank you.
Saw him reference that. Thank you. As so we are asked, please use the offering envelopes provided. Green envelopes are for pledges or gifts. Gold envelopes are for our outreach partner. Our outreach partner for in March is Safe Haven of Tarrant County. Through safety, support, prevention, and social change. It's only full service providing services at no cost. Here at 2 emergency housing to families seeking a first taste of services and prevention programs in Tarrant County. Generous gifts finally given, running and electronically, our organization and our outreach efforts. You're offering each of you on your individual path of the joys and questions, common ground with your travel pathways here today. We were some concerns of our congregation. Last Saturday, Catherine Arlene Kugler-Eakins, beloved. She was a loving and compassionate person who were ways, and while especially missed by her daughter, Tammy Michelle Brewer, Carl Eakins, her granddaughter, Brittany Lauren Zimmerman, Fisher, her brother William, and family members. She will always be remembered. Now, as Dr. Let us join in these words written by Randall Giles. Now may our wisdom show itself in compassion, and may the fruit of the Spirit be apparent in our lives. To all our visitors, we hope you enjoy. Come again, something different and wonderful here. Stay around after worship. Have some coffee. Be sure to share your contact information with us at our website for our weekly e-newsletter to be informed of events coming up. There are meetings and events pathways throughout the week. Here are just a few, along with a full lineup on our website. Also, take home a service sheet and of upcoming events on the announcement slide. In Fort Worth, meet outside Pathways today at 1 p.m. You use at 100 East in front of the courthouse. It's time for the annual visit Pathways Fund Weight Loss Challenge. This is the only fundraiser where we hope to make zero seats for the flyer with all the details. Oh, nice. Wait next week so you can lose more. jobs we could fill if we have Java brewers, hobby greeters, design farmers, caterers, tech newsletter, sanctuaries, event organizers, need gatherers, and the list one. There's always something for you in our lay-led community. Talents and enthusiasm lead you. After we break for coffee and conversation, we continue with our adult discussion. Meets in the sanctuary. The reasoners will discuss church security, packing and praying. On this is a group for adults to celebrate and deepen their individual. All seekers from any path have placed to speak your truth in a circle of trust. Visitors and newcomers are welcome to attend either of these adult discussion groups. RE immediately after Common Ground and the fellowship and food. The nursery is open at 11. Discussion. Now Steve has.
Opportunity through you engagement dollars to congregation. I put some thought into this yesterday. Development committee. I have a potential activities grant could fund. Not a hard does run out as the money runs out. Okay. To that end, I'll be in the lobby after the service, and if anybody is interested in piece of this grant, that's what I'm looking for. I have no problem writing it. Project narrative, what we're going to do from that list. But I can do that, but I want people to meet with me, put some flesh on the bones. Thanks.
I think this should be an important to get involved, getting out the vote. When would it possibly be good support? Back in 2016, I'd like.
Thanks, guys. You're willing and able, and join the Come As You Are choir in closing down. Ella Ledbetter on tambourine. Our benediction today is more than Robert F. Kaufman. We have together singing words of ourselves to do what we can to ease the stand for decency and compassion. Environment for us and for all the generations. But these are just words. The hymns we sing are just songs, thoughts. When we convert them all into throughout the week, then and only then will this be a time of worship. Blessed be. Go in peace.